The bill C-474 was just a one-line private member's bill, very important around genetic engineering, and it actually just called for the federal government to conduct an analysis of the potential harm to export markets before the permission, before any new genetically engineered seed could be permitted onto the market.
It would seem like a common sense kind of a proposition. Why was it so controversial?
Well, we think it was common sense, in fact very reasonable and actually very necessary. It's extremely controversial because the biotechnology industry does not want to see any kind of very real discussion about problems with genetically engineered seeds. The bill identifies one problem with genetic engineering, which is that when Canadian farmers or when the Canadian government approves a genetically engineered seed here that's not also approved in our export markets, contamination happens and farmers end up losing their harvest. Our exports have been quarantined in the past because of contamination, and farmers bear the costs.
Tell me about some of these quarantines that have occurred. How is it? What crops has it affected? What has been the effect on Canadian farmers?
There's a very unfortunate and recent example with genetically engineered flax, where actually flax farmers had taken a flax off the market, a genetically engineered flax off the market, because they were very worried that Europe would reject this flax and that it would result in economic harm. And that was in 2001. And 10 years later, in 2009 actually, at the end of the year, our flax exports to Europe were found contaminated with this genetically engineered flax. And our exports were quarantined, and eventually the contamination was reported in 36 countries. And the issue with this genetically engineered flax is actually it was only ever approved for safety in Canada and the US. And this is a common problem, is that we are introducing genetically engineered crops that are not approved in our export markets, and of course that leads to an obvious problem.
What other concerns are farmers raising around genetically engineered crops?
Well, definitely this is one of the problems that farmers of many different types can agree on. Conventional and organic farmers, for example, know that GM alfalfa is going to contaminate, and that is going to be a huge problem for all farmers who use alfalfa in different types of farming systems. But there's other issues emerging as well, such as herbicide-tolerant weeds, which has become a huge issue in the States last year, and this problem of domestic consumer mistrust and really Canadian regulation. Many farmers do articulate that they also share the same concerns of many Canadian consumers, which is that the data and the information around genetic engineering is secret. But one of the main problems that farmers perhaps have some consensus on is that the level of corporate control in farming that is facilitated by genetic engineering, the level of corporate control in the seed market, is a very real problem. Monsanto is the largest seed and biotechnology company in the world, and farmers do have problems with Monsanto and that type of corporate concentration, even if they buy Monsanto's seeds.
I want to talk a little bit about the politics of the bill. It's quite unusual for a bill like that to get to a parliamentary vote at all. How did it get to Parliament? How did it get to a vote?
It's quite extraordinary that the bill came this far and that such a rigorous debate happened. This is actually unprecedented on genetic engineering. There certainly have been debates about labeling, but no debates of this substance on any of the other really critical and complex issues around genetic engineering. And it happened because of the foresight of the NDP agriculture critic who put forward the bill, but also because Canadians really mobilized behind it. Canadians from across different types of sectors and certainly in different areas of the country wrote to their MPs, and it meant that the Liberal Party allowed for the bill to be debated in the Agriculture Committee, which happened in 2010. And then the debate just continued, even though Liberals and Conservatives worked together to actually shut down the hearings on Bill C-474 in October of 2010. The NDP managed to revive the debate, and so it was that actually we had an unprecedented debate of over 5 hours on February the 8th about this bill.
So the Liberal Party was split on this, and the bill died because of Liberal opposition to it?
The Liberal Party tried to take the bill down. They did not want to be seen supporting the bill, but some Liberal MPs certainly were very sympathetic to this problem. Unfortunately, there's no Liberal leadership on this question. It's still highly controversial. There's a lot of industry money behind this lobby against looking into the problems of genetic engineering, and the Liberal agriculture critic recommended that Liberal MPs vote against the bill, while at the same time saying that the bill identified a real problem. So we just need to figure out what the solution is. Firstly, there's been a great victory here in that the problem itself has been identified, and that's new and really important, very significant, especially because now we're faced with this issue quite urgently of the potential introduction of genetically engineered alfalfa, which would be a huge problem. And now we have members of Parliament who understand the issue better because of the debate, and also understand that GE alfalfa and this issue of economic harm is very